ABC General Hospital spoilers for Tuesday, March 3 reveal that Carly has never been someone who waits for answers to fall into her lap, and lately the air in Port Charles has felt charged with secrets too heavy to ignore. She has been searching not for gossip, not for leverage in the usual sense, but for something concrete, something that proves the shifting power structure in the city is not accidental. And when she finally finds it, it is not a single document or whispered confession, but a pattern, a trail of redirected funding, regulatory adjustments pushed through with suspicious speed, alliances forming in silence. It is the kind of discovery that doesn't explode immediately, but simmers, dangerous and volatile. What Carly uncovers points directly towards Sidwell. Not in a way that can be shouted from the rooftops, not yet, but in a way that confirms her instincts. Sidwell isn't merely influencing policy, he is restructuring the board. The new rights being introduced, the reforms framed as progress, carry fine print that benefits very specific interests. Interests that trace back, through shell connections and strategic appointments, to Sidwell's expanding control. Carly realizes that what appears to be civic improvement is actually recalibration power being redistributed under the guise of modernization. The shift is unsettling because it is sophisticated. Sidwell isn't threatening people openly. He is embedding himself within systems, ensuring that even if his name is removed, his influence remains. Carly recognizes this tactic immediately. She has survived too many wars not to see strategy when it's unfolding in real time, but this time feels different. This is not street-level intimidation or boardroom rivalry. This is institutional dominance. And the deeper she digs, the more she realizes that confronting it head-on would be reckless. Still, Carly has never chosen the safe path. The knowledge ignites something fierce within her. If Sidwell believes he can rewrite the city quietly, he has underestimated the wrong woman. But acting too quickly could trigger consequences she cannot contain. Sidwell is watching. He always is. The moment he senses resistance, he will retaliate not necessarily against Carly directly, but against the people she cares about. That is how he operates. Controlled chaos, strategic intimidation. What makes this development truly insane is the speed at which everything is escalating. As Carly pieces together the evidence, she begins to understand that she is not just uncovering corruption, she is stepping into a war already in motion. Sidwell's latest maneuver isn't just about influence, it's about permanence. He is designing a structure that will outlast scandal, outlast exposure. And if Carly moves incorrectly, she could accelerate his plan instead of dismantling it. The city itself feels like it's tilting. Long-standing alliances are becoming fragile. Business decisions are being questioned. Even Sonny senses the undercurrent, though he may not yet see its full scope. Carly stands at the edge of a decision that could redefine everything. Does she expose what she knows and ignite open conflict? Or does she move strategically, gathering allies, tightening her own network before striking? What she has found is more than information. It is confirmation that Port Charles is changing in ways that cannot be reversed easily. And as Sidwell continues adjusting his grip, Carly realizes that this isn't just about rights or reforms. It's about control over the future. If she wants to protect her family, her legacy, and the fragile balance of power, she will have to move smarter than ever before. Because once this war breaks into the open, it won't be contained. It will be explosive. Portia never expected Isaiah's quiet strength to affect her the way it has. In a world where pressure rarely eases and judgment often comes swiftly, his steady encouragement feels almost unfamiliar. When he speaks, he doesn't try to overpower her doubts or dismiss her fears. He meets them calmly, reminding her that she does not have to carry every burden alone. That simple reassurance moves her more than she wants to admit. For so long, Portia has been defined by responsibility, by the need to protect, to manage, to anticipate every possible crisis. Isaiah's presence offers something radically different: permission to breathe. What begins as gratitude slowly deepens into something more vulnerable. Portia finds herself lingering in conversations, holding eye contact a moment longer than necessary, feeling a warmth she hasn't allowed herself to explore in years. Isaiah, perceptive and patient, senses the shift too. He does not rush her. Instead, he supports her openly, standing beside her during tense hospital decisions, defending her when doubts surface, offering emotional steadiness without expectation. That consistency creates a powerful bond. Their growing closeness is beginning to change the atmosphere around them. Colleagues notice the subtle chemistry, the way tension softens when they share a room. Even in moments of stress, there is an unspoken understanding between them. The connection feels grounded, mature, built not on impulse, but on mutual respect and emotional safety. Yet as their feelings move further than either initially intended, the stakes rise. Portia knows that opening her heart again means risking vulnerability. Isaiah understands that stepping closer could invite complications neither of them are fully prepared for. But the truth is undeniable. What they are building feels real, and it is carrying them further than either expected. In a city defined by chaos and secrets, their bond may become something rare, a partnership rooted not in drama, but in trust. Sonny does not admit defeat lightly, and when he finally confesses to Jason that Sidwell is still standing, still maneuvering, still tightening his grip on Port Charles, the words do not come easily. There is no shouting, no dramatic outburst, just a controlled, simmering frustration that feels far more dangerous. Sonny has built his reputation on certainty. When he decides someone needs to be removed, it happens. When a threat emerges, it is neutralized. That has always been the rhythm of his power, but Sidwell has disrupted that rhythm in a way Sonny cannot simply overpower. He explains to Jason that this isn't about a missed opportunity or a failed strike. It's about recalibration. Sidwell does not operate like their usual adversaries. He does not rely on visible aggression or impulsive retaliation. He embeds himself within structures, political offices, business agreements, public initiatives, making himself harder to touch without causing collateral damage. Every move Sonny considers carries layers of consequence now. Taking Sidwell out recklessly would not just remove a rival. It could ignite investigations, destabilize alliances, and create vulnerabilities that others would exploit immediately. Jason listens carefully, recognizing something in Sonny that few others would notice. Restraint born not of fear, but of forced adaptation. Sonny is not scared of Sidwell. He is frustrated by the constraints Sidwell has engineered around him. For years, Sonny has dictated the tempo of conflict in Port Charles. Now, he is being forced to respond instead of initiate. That shift alone is destabilizing. The tension between instinct and strategy is tearing at Sonny internally. His first impulse is always decisive action. But the city has changed. The battlefield is no longer confined to warehouses and backroom deals. It extends into courtrooms, press conferences, financial audits, and public perception. Sidwell has weaponized legitimacy. If Sonny strikes too visibly, he risks validating Sidwell's narrative that he is the destabilizing force. If he waits too long, Sidwell's influence becomes permanent. This new adjustment requires patience, and patience has never been Sonny's preferred weapon. He admits to Jason that he underestimated how deeply Sidwell would entrench himself. What once seemed like a temporary nuisance has evolved into a systemic threat. Laura feels the pressure. Carly senses the shift. Businesses are recalibrating. Even law enforcement hesitates more than before. Sidwell has not declared war openly. He has made himself indispensable in certain circles. Jason understands that this is not merely about eliminating a rival. It is about reclaiming strategic advantage. He begins mapping possibilities: allowed financial exposure, fractured alliances, vulnerabilities within Sidwell's imported operations. But each path carries risk. If they miscalculate, Sidwell will not retaliate emotionally. He will retaliate structurally. He will use influence, investigations, public optics. He will dismantle them piece by piece, rather than explode in a single confrontation. For Sonny, that realization is suffocating. He has always thrived in environments where strength was clear and loyalty was visible. This new landscape feels murkier. It demands subtlety, alliances he once would have rejected, patience that feels unnatural. Yet he knows that adapting is the only way forward. He confesses to Jason that failing to eliminate Sidwell immediately was not weakness, it was calculation. But calculation does not erase the discomfort of playing defense. The deeper fear Sonny will not say outright is this: if Sidwell succeeds in redefining power in Port Charles, the entire foundation Sonny built over decades could erode quietly rather than collapse dramatically. And quiet erosion is harder to fight. As he and Jason continue strategizing, the atmosphere between them is intense but focused. This is no longer about dominance. It is about survival of influence. Sidwell has forced them into a new kind of war, one fought through timing, perception, and strategic restraint. Sonny is in unfamiliar territory, and that alone makes him more dangerous than before. Because if there's one thing Sonny has proven time and again, it is that when forced to adapt, he does not disappear. He recalibrates. And when he finally moves again, it will not be impulsive. It will be decisive. Marco never imagined that positioning himself between Laura and Sidwell would turn into a balancing act on the edge of disaster. At first, he believed he could navigate both sides, carefully maintain access to Sidwell's inner circle, while quietly ensuring Laura was never completely blindsided. But Sidwell is not a man who tolerates divided loyalties. He senses shifts before they become visible, and lately, his gaze has lingered on Marco just a little too long. What began as subtle questioning has evolved into calculated scrutiny. Sidwell has started testing Marco, altering plans without warning, feeding him partial information, watching to see where it resurfaces. It is no longer a professional dynamic, it is psychological warfare. Marco understands that suspicion alone is enough to make him expendable. In Sidwell's world, doubt is a death sentence. Standing between Laura and Sidwell is no longer strategic, it is perilous. Laura relies on Marco's insight, trusting that he can anticipate Sidwell's next move. But every piece of information Marco passes along increases the risk of exposure. If Sidwell confirms even a hint of betrayal, retaliation will not be measured. It will be devastating. Sidwell does not simply remove obstacles, he dismantles them in ways that send a message. The looming catastrophe lies in the timing. Sidwell is escalating his control across Port Charles, tightening influence over policy and power structures. If he suspects Marco at the same time, he may act swiftly to eliminate internal threats before executing his larger plans. Marco could become both scapegoat and warning, a public example of what happens to those who waver. And if Marco falls, Laura loses one of her few remaining lines of defense. The fragile resistance forming against Sidwell would fracture instantly. What started as cautious maneuvering now threatens to explode into open conflict. Because once Sidwell believes betrayal is in motion, he will not wait for confirmation. He will strike first. And when he does, the fallout could ripple far beyond Marco, dragging Laura and all of Port Charles into a new and far more dangerous phase of war. Jason doesn't bring information lightly, especially not to Tracy and Alexis. When he asks to see them privately, there is a sharp urgency in his tone that immediately signals something has shifted. He has been watching, listening, piecing together fragments that never quite fit the official explanation surrounding Drew's condition. What once appeared to be a tragic medical event now looks increasingly deliberate. Jason suspects Drew wasn't simply unlucky. He believes Drew was targeted. The inconsistencies are too numerous to ignore. The timing of Drew's collapse, the unexplained gaps in medical records, the unusual speed with which certain political changes followed, it forms a pattern that feels engineered. Jason lays it out carefully for Tracy and Alexis, not as accusation but as probability. If Drew was harmed intentionally, then the narrative everyone has accepted is built on manipulation, and that realization ignites a new wave of urgency. For Tracy, the idea that a Quartermaine heir was quietly neutralized is intolerable. For Alexis, the legal implications are explosive. If foul play is confirmed, it wouldn't just be a criminal matter, it would unravel political appointments, power transfers, and public trust. Jason understands that exposing this prematurely could alert whoever orchestrated it. That is why his next move is calculated. He is no longer simply questioning, he is preparing to act. Jason's focus shifts toward extraction, finding a way to get closer to Drew without triggering suspicion, securing independent medical evaluation, identifying who benefited most from Drew's incapacitation. The stakes are escalating fast. If Drew was silenced, then whoever did it will not hesitate to protect their secret. What began as quiet doubt is now becoming a controlled explosion beneath the surface of Port Charles. Jason isn't just investigating anymore, he's positioning himself to rescue Drew, whatever it takes. And if his suspicions are correct, this won't just be about saving a brother. It will be about dismantling a carefully constructed lie that has reshaped the balance of power in the city.